between the soul and the mind. Through the intellect, things are perceived. It is by the intellect that one understands that a certain matter is possible and another is impossible. The intellect is the only faculty capable of such comprehension. Knowledge comes through the intellect. Understanding comes through the intellect. And evaluating and judging matters is also done through the intellect. As for the self, nafs, it contains human emotions such as love and hatred. Love, self-love, selfishness, fear, and all emotions, feelings, and sensations stem from the self. Thus, there is a clear distinction between the intellect and the self. In this sense, the self is considered the most dangerous aspect of a person's personality. It is the source of either one's happiness or misery. As Allah Almighty says, "By the soul, and He who proportioned it, and inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness, He has succeeded who purifies it, and He has failed who corrupts it." Surah Ash-Shams, verses 7 to 10. The self is the center of inclinations, emotions, and desires. It can guide a person toward happiness, or it can cause one to slip into the abyss of misery, corruption, and deviation. So what is the role of the intellect? The intellect does not have authoritative control like the self does. Why? Because the intellect perceives and evaluates. It recognizes, for example, that work and activity are good, while laziness is bad. It sees justice as good and injustice as evil. So the role of the intellect in a person's life is one of perception and judgment. But it is the self that takes the stance, initiates action, and holds the reins of control. The self can choose to believe and act according to what the intellect says, or it can deviate and rebel against it. For this reason, the Quran points to this reality when it says, "And they denied them unjustly and arrogantly, while their souls were convinced thereof." Surah An-Naml, verse 14. They knew, it was clear to their minds that it was the truth. The intellect had passed judgment and confirmed that these facts were true and undeniable. Yet they still denied them. Why? Because their base desires and carnal emotions didn't allow them to act upon the truth acknowledged by their intellects. In another verse, the Quran says, "And you used to conceal the truth while you knew it." They knew, it was clear to their minds that it was the truth. The intellect had recognized the correctness and truth of the matter and said to the person, "O human, this is the truth." But it was the desires and passions and emotions that caused the person to deviate from what the intellect had affirmed. They suppressed and concealed the truth. There are many examples in narrations that show the intellect can become a mere tool in the hands of the self, obeying and being directed by it. This great power, the intellect, can become like a boat tossed around by the winds of desires and the whims of the self, steering it left and right. The self uses it as it wishes.